And I called my mentor and I'm like, here's what's happening, here's the situation. And she just stopped me. She's like, Caitlyn, you're spiraling. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
This one's for the girls who make their own rules. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girl Unscripted, where we have unscripted chats on all things professional and personal growth. In today's episode, we have a special guest. Her name is Caitlyn Kumi, the founder of EmpowHer. Welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted, Queen.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you too. So first things first, how is your day going? How are you doing today?
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like we talked about this on our way here. I was in a bit of a funk. It was like one of those weeks where I'm like, you know what? It's done. It's over. I'm gonna like rest and recharge over the weekend. Do what I need to do to set myself for success. But like that week has passed. New week's gonna be better. And I feel like it's okay to like not be okay all the time. I think sometimes we're like, oh, like everything's perfect, especially in this Instagram culture. And it's like, no, some weeks like you're probably just taking L's back to back and you're just like, can I catch a break? And you're just like, okay, I guess I just have to like pray this one out. And that's kind of like where I'm at. Like I was literally listening to gospel music on the way here to just like calm me, make sure I'm in a good headspace. Because yeah, it's tough when, you know, you go through some highs and then lows. And I think sometimes from like the outside looking in, it's like everything is always amazing. It's like, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the transparency. We did talk about this on the way. I just usually ask that in the beginning. Yeah. It just came out. Honestly, that's so real with what you mentioned, especially with Instagram culture and like toxic positivity. Hope you're going to feel a little bit better and the week will get better because I want you to have a good week. But, you know, going off of that, like since our audience may not know much about EmpowHer, I would love if you can introduce it a little bit, like tell them about it.
Of course. And like, I feel like this will just like bring the episode more positivity because I feel like we kind of started out like, oh, I'm not having the best day. But anyway, into EmpowHer. EmpowHer is my women's community and digital media company. We're all about helping women feel more confident and empowered through personal and professional development. We do that through our content, community, and events that really help women support each other, connect each other, and really just uplift women in general. It's something I'm so proud of, like after every event when I get a message that, oh, me and X, Y, and Z are still hanging out. We met at a EmpowHer event. Me and this girl are like starting a business together. We're going out for brunch. She referred me to my company that I work at now. Like I love when I hear those stories from my community, whether it's through a DM, whether it's IRL. Like I think that's just what keeps me going and just brings me so much joy. I think sometimes we think that we're almost like these lone wolves and like we don't need anyone, especially with all of this like individualistic culture being promoted. Like trust me, I love a good like solo date. I love a good solo vacation. I love resting and recharging and like locking in and like staying in on the weekends. Like I'm naturally more of a homebody.
Dude, same.
But I do think there is something so beautiful about having community, especially a community of women, especially if you want to like take your life to new heights and just to get through like the seasons, the highs, the lows. Like honestly, like when I'm having those bad weeks, it's really having my best friends, my mom, my aunt that I can call and really lean on for support. Just last week I was just having a really, really rough week and I called my mentor and I'm like, here's what's happening, here's the situation. And she just stopped me. She's like, Caitlyn, you're spiraling. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And you need those people. But I feel like if you're isolating, you're not really going to get that. So I love that with EmpowHer, I've really built that community for women to, I wouldn't say have that safe space, but like have a place where they can find women that they can connect with that are like-minded individuals. It's like you don't have to show up a certain way, you don't have to have a certain job title, but people are just very welcoming and inviting. Like I think we need more of those spaces.
I absolutely love that. And as someone who's been to one of her events, I can attest to the fact that it is very much that kind of space. Everyone is so kind and everyone is just super chilled, to be frank. You know what I mean? And with what you mentioned too about, you know, having those like highs and lows and then being able to have someone to like talk to where it's like, even if it is like more of a professional, like you said, your mentor, I really like how like those two worlds can collide sometimes where it's like your professional life, even though it is separate, it impacts your personal life as well. You you know, and I think that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, but it's like definitely one of the reasons why I started Miss Empower, because I'm sure you felt this. Like, I was like in high school and college during like the peak of the girl boss era, and I just felt like it was like, okay, learn how to write your emails this way, come into rooms, here are the conversation starters. And I just feel like there was a time for that, but I think people weren't really showing up as their most authentic selves, and it's very draining when you're wearing a mask. And when you don't feel confident in yourself, secure in yourself, like, it really does impact how you show up professionally. And when you think about like the leaders that you love, the people you like watching, like, it's their authenticity, that's their X factor, that's what's taking them to new heights. So for me, it was really important to build a community, build a space where I was bringing speakers, I was having events that allowed women to show up that way. And I think sometimes when you see examples of that, when you see people showing up authentically, when you see that within your community, and you see people also achieving professional success and personal success, you're like, you know what, like, why do I have to like pretend to be someone I'm not in order to get to the next level?
Yeah, that's so true. I think especially with the girl boss era aspect, I feel like that era it's kind of going away a little bit, where I feel like a lot of people in our generation are talking a lot more about like, yes, I want to work hard, I want to be financially independent, have my career, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you're working yourself like 12-14 hour days, you know, and you're just like kind of isolating yourself, like you mentioned, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like that. And I personally am really appreciative of like this collaboration over competition sort of culture that like I feel like a lot of us, especially in New York City, embody, where like just after this, actually I'm going to one of my best friend's place. She's having a rough day and we're co-working on our businesses together, you know? And it's like, honestly, like, TLDR, I'm on a period right now, and I was having like really bad cramps this morning, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to get up this podcast with you. And I was like, no, but I really want to meet her, I want to do this, and I literally like pushed myself out of it. And then so it's nice to be able to have these sort of authentic conversations and have a space where it's like the both can exist at the same time, you know what I mean? And it, like, you don't need to be perfect.
No, I 100% agree with you. And I really want to touch on that point of collaboration over competition. I was literally on Threads, which I know, like, not everyone goes on Threads, but occasionally sometimes
I go on Threads.
Okay. I didn't know.
It's not just you. Me
yeah,
too.
like, Threads actually has some gems on there. And I woke up and I feel like it was a sign. I kind of feel like I get these signs sometimes, and like these moments, maybe it's just the algorithm. But on this thread, this woman was sharing a story. She was an influencer, and she was sharing in 2021 she didn't have any like followers on TikTok, but she went on this like brand trip, and during the brand trip, the woman on the trip showed her so much kindness. They did a lot of like collaboration videos. She was doing all of these dances. This was like during like the height of TikTok.
Yeah.
And then after that trip, she had like, I guess, made a TikTok. All of the girls were nice enough to tag her, and she literally gained 100K followers from like zero to nothing. And that was just off of like women tagging her, supporting, because the woman on that brand trip had millions of followers. I know that's like a very like creator centric example, but that is so applicable like in everyday life. You can choose to like be that like lone wolf, or you can choose that like collaboration mindset.
Yeah, I just feel like one is a lot easier than the other, you know, because wouldn't you want to uplift others as you keep uplifting? Like, I personally believe in that super strongly. So I think that's amazing. I love when there's gems on Threads like that, because I'll see stuff like that too. There was one I saw where, you know, the creator Piper Phillips?
Yes, she's gonna be at our Women Who Network event at the end of the month.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So I love how authentically she talks about her journey in being self-employed and like her career and everything, and like those like just like those thoughts that like no one would really say out loud, but she's like, no, like, guys, this is real. And I really love that, because it, like, when you look through the comments even on her page, it's like, it's people like you and I just commenting, me like, oh my god, girl, me too, like da da da. And it's really dope to see that, because it's like, yeah, like, we all experience this, so why are we fighting it over like it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going into your journey again, I would love to hear more about, I know you mentioned like you wanted to create a community, etc., with Miss Empower, but for you, while you were on that journey, what was that moment where you felt the most delulu per se, where you took an action and you were like, you weren't sure if it was going to work out, but it did? Like, is there a moment like that you can remember from your journey?
Most definitely. I feel like it's when we started having in-person events. So
Okay.
a lot of people don't know this, but I've actually had Miss EmpowHer since I was in college, since 2020. But I feel like the real traction started happening was actually 2024. So that's like 4 years later. Like we were slowly, gradually growing. We had a couple of like virtual events. We hadn't done a lot of like sponsorships to monetize. We had like a couple of like digital products we were selling. We had the waist beads that we were selling, but it wasn't really driving tons of revenue, and it was just like gradually chugging along. And I knew that if I wanted to continue this business, like I had to think differently. And a lot of people don't know this, but Miss EmpowHer was like recognized by Forbes 30 under 30. But literally a couple months before, I was thinking about shutting down my business. Like I was on the phone with my mom crying, and I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like I don't think like it has what it takes. And my mom was like, don't talk like that, sleep it off, pray about it.
Tear off, because I get that.
And like literally like my head was hot. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. But the moment for me was definitely our first in-person event, Still I Rise. And so many people don't know this because it was a success on like LinkedIn, a success on Instagram, but getting the venue scheduled, I remember when we were doing that event, they were like, I don't know if you should charge, because like if you want to have events a year, you have to have certain foot traffic, and like I don't know if your audience is like here yet. Like just all of these like words that were like planted to almost make me have seeds of doubt. I was like, maybe my audience isn't as engaged as I think in New York. At the time, I didn't have like the following that I do on like social media, so it was really a gamble, and they were not helpful. I'm like super type A. My events lead is super I would say type A minus, B plus, and we had everything like lined up for them. So usually when we do like our events at that venue, or usually when you do events at that venue, they'll put it in their newsletter. They didn't do any of that. So we were able to get like 700 signups for our event in like less than 48 hours, 72 hours. Thank you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like the community is so engaged. Like, and I was freaking out because I was like, the building capacity is 200. Like, this is insane. Like, what if I was having so much anxiety like leading up to the event, but the event ended up being phenomenal. Like it really generated like so much like traction for us. Like the story reshares, I think we had like over 70 reshares for that event. Thank you. And that was the moment where like I was like, this is my purpose, like this is what I'm meant to do. And at the time, my mentor, who like I'd grown up since childhood, had passed away.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And my grandpa had passed away. Like there was just a lot going on personally in my life behind the scenes during that time. And I just remember being at the event, seeing like how happy the women were. Like I was literally crying like the day before, because all of that stuff had happened like the week leading up. And that was the moment where I was like, we have something special. I need to like sit down. I need to redo my business plan. I really need to think about like what are the revenue generating activities, what are the opportunities that are going to make the biggest impact, and stick to that. And that was really the turning point. We've been having a lot more in-person events. We'll be launching our like private membership community later in the year, which I'm really excited about.
Yay!
Thank you. But we just have those like catalyst moments that are like, okay, this is where I should go. This is where I should keep going. And that was definitely it.
Oh my God. Well, props to you for pulling that off, especially while going through so much. I definitely can relate to like that, what you mentioned about the outside noise when like someone's telling you like, I don't know, like the foot traffic. I think that that's such a relatable thing for, especially for a founder. From seeing that sort of high engagement, high traction, which by the way, like congrats, that's amazing. How did you use that to kind of drive growth from there onwards? Because Miss EmpowHer has definitely grown a lot since then.
Yes, definitely. Like sometimes I like look at it and I'm like, wow, like we really built this. I get so excited.
I mean, you're on Forbes, girl. Like that's good for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the support.
Yeah.
So from there, I really like sat down. I was like, okay, this is a great event. When do we want to have like our next Women Who Network event? Like, let's really hone this and like make this a signature series that people know us for. They know like the value they provide, especially as we started to monetize it. It became one of our more premium events. But in the meantime, I really wanted to use my like platform to elevate women who were like building their personal brands or had their own communities or their businesses. So I decided to launch a beta program, our Miss EmpowHer Ambassadors program, New York only, because it was like, let me just like do it in New York, see how it goes. It was really a free for all. There were like no structure when it came to like the events, and it was really, really great. Like I had some really great ambassadors, a few that hosted like game nights, a few that hosted like a walking club.
That's dope.
So it was like really excited to bring like those more like affordable experiences, because we do have a lot of women in our community who are like mid-level in their career and like their 20s and 30s, but we do have some who are in college or maybe just working lower paying jobs, or they might have like expenses like student loans that don't allow for them to afford some of the premium events. So I love that our ambassador programs are a little bit more accessible. They're smaller, they're a little bit more intimate, and it's just also been a great way to give women in our community who want to get engaged, want to get involved, that opportunity. Just because we also have like a college ambassador program, but like there are only so many spots. So I love that we're just like able to support women, elevate them through that ambassador program as well. And that's just been great for having a lot more in-person events, and I'm so excited, and you're actually the one who like gets the exclusive. We're actually going to be expanding nationally and internationally in a few key locations.
Okay. Y'all hear that?
Yeah, because like the girls all over the States are like, when is our Miss EmpowHer event coming? And we have so many in New York. So I'm really excited to bring that ambassador program national and like to a few of those key international locations. And then we're going to continue having more women who network events.
Just take over the world. Basically, her master plan is take over the world.
Oh, I don't know about all of that. And then we do a couple like invite only events that are usually in partnership with our brand sponsors. And usually you have to be on the newsletter to get like invites to those exclusive things. So like if you like want to be invited to like our female founder mixers or female founder dinners, some of like the influencer and content creator events we have, like you definitely want to be on the email newsletter, because we love sending those invitations to apply for those like opportunities through there. And then last, like the private membership, I think there's just been so many learnings from our premium events that women really want like that cohort, like that community. So really working with my team behind the scenes to develop like that best offering. And I wouldn't say like I'm a perfectionist, but I really like to have a good like A- product going out. Look, it doesn't have to be A+, because you can always like iterate and like you don't want like perfection to stop like progress.
I get it.
I'm really excited for the launch of that. Like I know it's going to be amazing.
I love that. And it's really cool to also see like from the way that you're describing your journey from the start to now, it sounds like your confidence has also grown tremendously throughout like your business journey and getting to this point. So I'm super curious to hear, like, as you were going through this, have there been key learnings you've gotten from like a confidence perspective and even your standards that you have for the people in your life, right, as you keep growing as a businesswoman?
Yeah, I think just like allowing myself to fail and knowing it's a part of the journey. I think I'm someone who puts a lot of pressure on myself.
Same.
But like I think just like resetting my mindset of like the 80-20, knowing that like 80% of what I do like will probably be L's, but like that 20%, like I'm gonna eat them up. Like I'm gonna do amazing. And that's really what's gonna like propel me to the next level. So I think that's like really helped me like level set expectations. And then also knowing that like everyone is on their own path. Like I know some people say that like sounds corny, but to me it doesn't. I think there are certain moments like you'll look back like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and it's like, nope, like it had to happen that way. And I think that perspective has really helped me. I've also become a lot more like faith oriented, and I think having like my faith, having that as my foundation, having that as a reflex, it gives me something like outside of myself to really like lean on. I've also done like therapy, I've done like life coaching, I've like listened to all like the self-help like books and all of that. But I feel like what's really helped me improve my confidence and get through like the highs and lows of entrepreneurship is like really making sure that I have like a strong mind, a clear mind, a healthy mind, and like having that self-awareness to know like, you know what, I'm not in a good place. Like what am I going to do to get myself back in a better like mental health space? when it comes to like my physical health, like for me, that is really connected with like my mental health as well. So like when I'm not working out, like sometimes I'm like, I'm so tired, like I don't have any energy, like I feel drained, like I feel sluggish.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what, like let me just book this class pass and go. And I literally go to my workout class, my various workout class. I don't feel like working out, and then I feel so much better. I have that like extra boost of creativity. You know, us being a woman, like one thing I've learned about myself is like my cycle really impacts my mood. Like I get sad, like I get very emotional during certain times. I'm hyper productive. So I've also like learned to like lean into like my body, lean into like the rhythm of like my cycle, and like kind of go in sprints when I work. That way I like kind of give myself grace. Yeah. So like when I have that energy, like I'm going hard. When I'm feeling a little down, like that's probably where like I'm doing those like low lift activities.
Yeah.
Really doing my more like self-care practices to like ground me. Really like having that as like my foundation, knowing like I don't have to be driving 24/7. That's also really helped me improve my confidence.
Yeah. How did you understand your cycle progression and like how you act in different sorts of parts of the month? Like how did you do that?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here. I probably need to get like the cycle tracker and be much better. Like I'll start like the first few days using my health app, and then I'll forget, and they're like, is something wrong? It's like, no, like I just forgot to tap the button.
I feel like that.
But I think like over time I like have learned my patterns and like behaviors. Like I always crave like chocolate chip cookies. I get a lot more like emotional and I start crying, but like not like crazy. I'm just like, oh, like I haven't had a cry. Like I just have like this overwhelming urge.
That was me last week. It's okay.
So I think I just like have like learned the signs, because sometimes I'm like, is everything wrong right now, or is it just like that time?
Yeah, that's so real, because sometimes as women especially, it's easy to gaslight yourself when you're like acting like that, but then it's like no, there's like things happening, and like it's like my body as well, you know?
Yeah, there have been times where I've like gotten like so annoyed. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
Yeah, no, it really be like that, but it's amazing that you have like learned like how you are in different parts of the month. I feel like that's really helpful to be able to create like even just a playbook for how you want to work. And I think going off from that, like going back to what I mentioned too about like confidence, and then also like the people you have in your life, like how has that changed as you've progressed in your business journey, or even just as you've grown as a professional in person? Because I know like a lot of people like with their business journey, they might have like their standards grow as they keep going on their journey, or maybe they let go of friends along the way. Like how has that been for you?
Oh, it's changed a lot. I definitely have friends that have stuck with me throughout like the journey, and friends that have really fallen off. And dating wise, it's definitely like impacted like the type of people I date, like what I look for, and also too just like the stage of life I was in, like as I started my business. Like I started my business like in my early 20s, like now I'm in my mid 20s, so there's definitely that transition as well. I think for me though, I really look for people who are like secure in themselves. Like we have a lot of shared values. I think the way in which they handle like adversity and like conflict, like that's important. I really look for like those traits, and I think that's really like helped me find like those good people. And for me, like having a business, being a founder, being a creator is like one side of myself, but it's not my entire identity. So I also really love like friends and individuals who know how to enjoy life, who know how to have fun. And I think as someone who is like type A/type A-, sometimes it's easy for me to get like super like bogged down in work, but then it's like, have you had fun? Like when is the last time you went out and really like turned up? And like sometimes like you need those friends. You do. I remember there was like a season where I was dating someone who was like also very ambitious, but he would like always go out, like every weekend he would go out, and that's like not me. I'm like naturally more of a homebody. But he would always be like networking, but also like living his best life and like traveling. And for me that was like a real like wake up moment that like you can still be building your dream life, you can be, you know, laying that foundation, like grinding, but like don't be afraid to take a step back and enjoy the journey. And I'm like really glad that I got to like experience like that season with him, because it really did change the way in which like I show up in my own life. Because sometimes like it's literally not that deep, like all your work will get done, but like don't neglect enjoying the journey. because you don't get that time back.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you will get to where you want to be. It's just like a matter of time.
Yeah.
But like, you're right, it is important to enjoy the journey, because like, we can't get back our 20s, you know?
You really can't. And there are sacrifices like you have to make. Like, I definitely don't go out every weekend, but it's not naturally like my personality.
Yeah.
And there are times where, you know, I might have to wake up a little bit early. I'm not a morning person. Or sometimes I might have to be a little bit late. Or, you know, sometimes like on the weekends, like I'm just like resting to recover from like those like late nights. And again, that's where like the sprints come in, and like the highs and lows. I think where you just want to be careful is like, you're not going years and years and years and you wake up and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. No, that's so real. I feel like I'll see a lot of people who are a little bit older than us experiencing that, and that always kind of like reminds me that, like, you know, like the money and the career, like it's really important, but it's also important to like listen to what you want to do and like lean into that as well. And like striking that balance is always really important, because responsibility is just gonna grow, you know?
Yeah. They do.
They really do. But I love what you said about, you know, the values that you look for in your friendships when it comes to someone who's secure in themselves. I love that, because I saw like, it's something I've resonated with personally, but I also saw a post about this quite recently, and it was about how, I forget what creator it was, but she was talking about essentially how with her friendships she makes sure that like the person is fully secure in themselves, but also like if she notices that they're like generally like an insecure person overall, like in any capacity, like that's someone she's not going to be friends with. And I really resonated with that as well, and it kind of reminds me of what you just said, because I think that if someone is like generally like overall insecure, like we all have insecurities, like, but I think when you are someone that is generally insecure, it impacts the way in which you go about all your friendships.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we do have to give people grace, because nobody's perfect. But
of course.
I think when it comes to the people like you're closest to, like your inner circle, like not an acquaintance, like it's okay to be picky, it's okay to be selective, it's okay to be choosy.
Yeah.
Because I think people sometimes underestimate the impact of like friendships and their romantic partners and the impact in which they have. Whether it's on like their productivity, whether it's like their happiness, whether it's their like overall well-being.
Yeah.
Like I've been in friendships that have been so mentally draining, and then when they weren't in my life in the same capacity, like I just felt lighter.
Yeah.
And I've had the same with like relationships where like being around them brought out like the best in me and like the productivity in me, and I saw myself like reaching new heights, or they were just like so supportive, like with their words and like in their actions. And when you experience that like in romantic partnership, like that also makes a really big difference. So I don't think there's anything wrong. Like there's someone for everyone in this world. And I also do feel like different individuals bring out different things in friendships and romantic relationships. Like some people, when you're in relationships with them, they might bring out more insecurities, and some might make you feel like the most like confident person in the world. Of course, that should mainly come intrinsically, but again, people do enhance that. They do like improve outcomes in that aspect. So I would just say like be selective, be intentional.
Yeah.
And also like don't take those people for granted. Like if you have someone who's like, wow, we just really click on so many different levels, that is not the time to release them. Like that is the time to like lock in and make sure they feel appreciated and valued.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's definitely so relatable. I've definitely had friendships as well where you feel super drained, and I've definitely felt like that in relationships as well. But then when you come out of it, like it kind of also expands, I would say, the heights that you feel like you can reach as well, right? Like if you're with someone, or you're friends with someone that constantly makes you feel like, you know, like, oh, like I can't do this, or you can't do this. And it's like when you're starting a business or you're growing your career or whatever you want to do, like they might look at you like you're delusional. And I feel like of course we have to give people grace, but I think that not having those sort of people in your inner circle when you go to for advice or anything like that is so real, because like that can mean the difference. Like, not to sound dramatic, but I feel like that can mean the difference between you succeeding and like failing at something, you know?
Yeah, because, I think everyone needs a Delulu bestie. Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like I definitely have one. Like I'm like, okay, like this is my plan, this is the opportunity at hand, like I think this can happen. She's like, yeah, I can. It's like, okay, let's go, let's do this.
I love that. Yeah.
And it's so nice to have that energy, especially like for me, like I definitely came from a family of like realists.
Same.
I sometimes think I'm an optimist, but I've been told maybe I might lean a little bit more on like realist at times. And it's nice to have those people that like encourage you to dream and really see yourself as the person like you could be without like being like overly like fangirl, right? Like I think there's like a hard line where like you want your friends to like authentically like show up and like that person to like be like your like cheerleader,
yeah,
but you don't want it to be like where they don't see you as like their equal and it's more of like that fan, you know?
No, that's so true. Yeah, I love a Delulu bestie though.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my friends like literally last night, and I was like, oh, I want to make XYZ money this year, and she was like, yeah, like why not? Of course you'll make more. And
Exactly.
It's like why not? Like why are we not doing this? I love that energy, honestly.
I love it.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's looking to start their own business or even starting their career right now? Like what's one thing that you wish you knew looking back?
Interpersonal relationships are everything in corporate. Really take the time to understand the company culture. Are they more of a relationship culture? Are they more of a results-driven culture? And really figure out how you plan to show up. And also take the time to figure out, like, are you a corporate person for a season or for a lifetime? That's also going to really impact the decisions you make and how you navigate your career. On the entrepreneurship side, figure out whether you are focused on revenue first or if it's more of like that community impact first, really building like those long-term relationships with your customers, or is it just more like transactional revenue driven? My advice would always be prioritize the customer first, the consumer first, the user first, because that's really going to yield long-term results. Cash is always great, but if there's like a new entrant, if they have a better community, they have a more engaged customer base, user base, what's going to happen to your business then?
Yeah, I feel like relationships and authenticity are everything.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we are approaching the end of the podcast episode, but thank you so much for coming on. I always end off each episode asking the guest one question, which is, it's kind of similar to what I just asked, but it's more so on a personal level. What's one thing that you wish you could tell your teenage self? Little Caitlyn.
I would say prioritize 8 hours of rest. I know sleep is something that we often like take for granted, but I've often found when like I feel very stressed, when I feel very anxious, when I feel like I just want to give up on something, a good nap or a good night's rest can really make a lot of problems go away. And I think when I was like younger, I would just be working, not sleeping. And I think to some extent sometimes like you start to like feel those effects a bit later. So I would definitely say prioritize sleep to really like show up as like your best self in like all spaces. Like that's not a like nice to have, like it's a number one priority.
I love that. That's something I definitely realized in my 20s too. As a teenager, I was like, oh, like who needs sleep? Who cares?
Yeah, I was like so stressed about like my classes, like getting into like the right school and stuff. And it's like everything will work out. Sleep.
Yeah, literally. I absolutely love that. Y'all hear that? Get your 8 hours of sleep. And also, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Thank you again, Caitlyn, for coming on to Brown Girl Unscripted. I loved having you on. And to our audience, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you want to see more of. And I'll see you on next week's episode. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.